Check it out, Xiaomi has sent me another T Pro phone. These phones tend to sit just below the flagships in the Xiaomi lineup. And something that's really impressed me every year that I look at one of the T Pro phones is the camera. And once again, just like the regular 15 and the Ultra, Xiaomi have partnered up with Leica for their lens calibrations, coatings, and also color science. This is a brand new phone sealed in the box, and I do know a thing or two about this, but first, let's get a look at the design. I've not actually seen it firsthand just yet, so I'll give you guys my honest first impressions. And that is the official name of the color. It's Pro Grey. This is the 12 gig version, and it's also got a terabyte of storage, which is crazy. And not only is that a flagship level amount of RAM and ROM, it's also the latest type as well. So it's LPDDR5X, and the ROM is UFS 4.1. All right, let's see what this Xiaomi looks like. This feels kind of hefty, and I get a feeling that there is in fact a case in here. And yes, there is. As well as a USB-A to USB-C charging cable. And it's also got the official European rating card thing. And as you can see here, it's a level A when it comes to efficiency. It's also a level A for drop resistance and damage. And actually the new iPhone, I just unboxed that, that's got a level B. So that's kind of interesting. And also the iPhone only had 1,000 cycles here. I think this represents how many cycles of charging before the battery starts to deplete. I think that's what that is. And it is IP68. Anyway, these things are pretty informative. The case is nothing special really. It's just a regular silicone case. Flexible, gray. And here we have the phone itself. And as you can see, they highlight a bunch of the key specs right here on the wrapper. So Leica Summilux lenses are incredibly expensive, and I'm assuming they've tried to recreate the kind of style you get from one of those with the cameras on this device. The MediaTek 9400 Plus is one of the very best chips from MediaTek right now. The display is large and it's incredibly fast, faster than most phones, and we'll come back to that, I'll show you that in action. The battery size is huge, 5,500 milliamp hour. I'm assuming that's a silicon carbon battery. And then check out these charging speeds, 90 watt wired and 50 watt via Qi wireless charging. And that's actually faster than most popular phones charge via a wire. And then of course we've got the Xiaomi HyperOS skin. I have actually made a video highlighting some of the best software features on HyperOS. I'll link that at the end if you're interested. Anyway, let's get this out of here. I don't think I need to rip this. I can just slide it out like this. Okay, so this phone, the Xiaomi 15T Pro, looks like one solid piece of metal. And I really like the finish here. It looks like that kind of Beskar steel that the Mandalorian uses. You've got this nice diamond cut chamfered edge right around the camera module. And even though there are 4 cutouts, there's actually 3 cameras. I'm assuming this one right here will be some kind of depth sensor of some sort. You've got the volume rocker on the right side and the power button just below it. The base of the phone has the speaker grill and then the SIM tray and the USB-C charging port. The top edge of the phone just has the antennas right there, and then the left edge is completely blank, quite similar to an iPhone. This phone does have stereo speakers even though there's no grill at the top. It's actually just here in the earpiece. So you've got the downward one here and then you've got a forward firing one here. Let's get a look at this SIM tray. So it is in fact a dual SIM tray. There is no expandable memory on board, but if you've got this terabyte model, you're probably not going to need any expandable memory. So my first impressions of this device is it feels very premium. It looks premium. It looks like a full metal phone. I like the camera module layout, and from what I've read about the cameras, they should be pretty impressive. Let's see how it looks with the case on. Yeah, it looks pretty good. It adds a really nice soft touch finish to the device, and of course gives it protection and makes it look less flashy, and therefore it would be less likely that someone would try and snatch it out your hand whilst walking down the street. But only if you rock the case, because out the case, yeah, this looks very, very premium. So the Xiaomi 15T Pro uses the MediaTek Dimensity 9400 Plus 3nm chip. It is the top tier one from MediaTek, and this has actually been running a benchmark now for nearly 20 minutes. It's coming up to the last loop, and I'm running this just to see how it performs, but also to show you guys what the new Xiaomi 3D Ice Loop system looks like, which is inside the phone. It's a new cooling system. There we go, the 20 minutes is up. This is the performance. We'll come back to this in a minute. Let's get a look at this with the thermal vision. Okay, so I've seen quite a few thermal readings here with this device, so I'm quite familiar with what's going on here and how to read this. So right up here, the red cross is the hottest temperature, 39 degrees, which, to be honest, on a 20 loop cycle is very good. I've seen phones go up to 45 degrees, and that's really not good when it comes to thermal management, and it usually results in throttling of performance. And something that stands out to me about this particular thermal reading is you can actually see where the heat is going. It's actually wrapping around the camera module, going this way and then down this side of the device. Also, you see it going a little bit down on this side of the device, but it does look like that 3D ice loop system actually does this. It runs down the camera module, runs around this way, and then back around this way. And you can see the temperatures kind of cascading. It's cooling down as it reaches the bottom of the phone. So yeah, it's a pretty decent cooling system. And now let's get a quick look at the performance. So it's really quite impressive how stable this phone has been during this stress test. It started off really quick, which is normal, and then it's kept this steady pace right across. You'll notice here, there is a little bit of a drop off at this point. The battery temperature got pretty damn hot, but you see the phone actually maxed out at 43 degrees, which is still pretty high, but it managed it pretty well. There was a pretty massive frame rate drop around the 18th loop, but then again, it bounced back pretty quickly. It did max out its scores on the wildlife test, which means I can't see where it ranks against the other devices right now. But what you need to know is that this is a very powerful phone. Now, before we move on and look at the display, there is a feature on this phone which is brand new in Europe, and I've never heard of this before. It's called Xiaomi's Astral Communication. This actually allows the Xiaomi 15T Pro to communicate with other Xiaomi devices at up to 1.9 kilometers away without data and without Wi-Fi. I'm actually not entirely sure how it's done. I don't think they're using GPS like the iPhone and other phones that have GPS emergency stuff. But this is an interesting feature, and yeah, it's exclusive at the moment to the Xiaomi devices. Hopefully I'll get to test that out at some point. Okay, let's talk about this display. I mentioned earlier that it is a fast screen, and that's because it supports 144 Hz. It is a 6.83 inch AMOLED. The glass used here is Corning Gorilla Glass 7i, which is significantly stronger than the glass used on the previous model last year. The peak brightness here is a crazy 3200 nits, and the pixels per inch is 447. It's a 1.5K resolution, 2772 by 1280. The touch sampling is 480 Hz. It supports the full DCI-P3 color gamut. It's also got DC dimming, and it is HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision certified. And then there's a bunch of eye care stuff in there as well, like the TÜV Rheinland low blue light efficiency rating. It's also got TÜV Rheinland flicker-free certification and TÜV Rheinland circadian friendly certification, which is to do with how much blue light it emits at night. And of course, when you've got a 144 Hz display like this, it's going to be fantastic for gaming on. All right, now let's talk about what this phone is really all about, the cameras. So the primary camera is a Leica Vario Simulux, and it is actually in a spherical lens as well. This is co-engineered with Leica, and yeah, it's a very impressive camera. And actually what I've done here is I've taken a few photos with the iPhone 17 Pro Max to compare them to the Xiaomi 15T Pro, which is a phone that's going to be probably half the price of an iPhone. Take a guess as to which one's which here, and then I'll reveal what it is. You guessed yet? Okay, good. Here's what it is. So that primary camera uses a 50 megapixel sensor with an aperture of f1.62. It does have optical image stabilization. And interestingly, this is a Light Fusion 900 image sensor. And it's got large pixel sizes, 2.4 micrometer with 4:1 super pixel binning. The focal length here is equivalent to a 23 millimeter, so it's quite wide. Now the telephoto here is also pretty interesting. It's also a 50 megapixel sensor. The aperture is f3.0. And this one also has optical image stabilization, which is really nice when it comes to telephotos. You kind of need it more there than you do on the primary when it comes to just taking steady photos. Anyway, that one's the equivalent of a 115 millimeter lens. Now the last camera is a 15 millimeter ultra wide. It uses a 12 megapixel sensor. This is the least strongest of the lineup. The aperture here is f2.2, and it's good enough. It's not bad. It's not the best I've ever seen from Xiaomi, but yeah, it's pretty decent. The selfie camera uses an impressive 32 megapixel sensor. It's got a particularly wide field of view, 21mm. And what makes this phone really great when it comes to photography is not just the lenses and the calibrations, it's also the AI upscaling and things like that. So Xiaomi have their new AI SP 2.0, which is essentially an ISP that improves your photography. Even if you're not very good at photography and you have no idea about shutter speed, white balance, apertures, focal lengths, all that kind of stuff. And when it comes to video, you can actually shoot in 8K on this device up to 30 frames per second, and even 4K at up to 120 frames per second, which is really useful if you want to film slow-mo footage. So let me know what you think of the Xiaomi 15T. This has just been a first look. If you guys want to see any follow-up content on this device, let me know in the comments below. I will do some hunting around for the best deals on this device, and then I'll pin them in the top comment and also the description. And if you're wondering about the color options here on this phone, this one is the gray one, but there's also a black model and a mocha gold version. If you've got any questions about this, let me know in the comments. If you found this video useful, let me know in the comments. And if you just subscribed, you're now one of the finest subscribers known to man. See you in the next one. Don't be late.